Hi guys, thanks for stopping by my channel today. Now on this video, I'm going to do a new phone case for my old Samsung Galaxy, and it's right here. My old case is pretty worn out, pretty nasty, so it's time to get a fresh new look. So I ordered these sublimation cases off of Amazon, and I got 5 of them. I don't remember the price, but I will link these in the video description. Since I don't plan on shelling out a lot of money for a new phone in the next couple years, I'll be able to put them all to good use. So the way you do this, you print out your sublimation image, and I'm going to print it out just a little bit larger than this. Then you peel off this paper backing, and that exposes an adhesive. Then you press this down. Now, just like a lot of sublimation blanks, there is a film on this, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off now. Here in a minute, we're going to move over to the computer and I'll show you my design. But first, I just want to see the dimensions I need. So this is a little less than 5 1/4 tall, that way. So if I make my image 5 1/4, I'll be fine. And it's a little more than 2 1/4 wide, so I'll make my image a little larger than that. Now, some other things that I'll use for the project is some heat tape, my heat-resistant gloves, some butcher paper just to protect my heat press, and then I'm going to use this Printer's Jack sublimation paper. Now, Printer's Jack has a blue back and a pink back. The blue back is kind of a weird size, and then the pink back is actually your standard 8.5 by 11. So I'll link to the blue back and the pink back. I actually really like the blue back. You just need to remember to change your document settings to 8.3 by 11.7. And then, of course, I'll be using my heat press, and I'll show that to you in just a little bit. For my tumblers, I'm going to use Inkscape. That's a free design software. And notice my template is square. My template is 12 by 12. To change whatever your template is, you go to File, Document Properties, and then right down here in the custom size, the width of my paper is 8.3 inches, and then the height is 11.7. Now, if yours doesn't show inches for the units, you just press on that and change it to what you need it to be. Now, if I go up here to the red X, you see it's changed. Now, I want to zoom in a little bit, so I'm going to hold the Shift key down and hit the plus sign. That's probably good right there. And then the first thing I want to do is bring in my images. Now, I found my images on Creative Fabrica. This is a site where you can buy individual images, or you can get a monthly membership where everything is included, including commercial licenses. You can get a trial membership for $1, unlimited downloads, commercial licenses, and you are going to find a ton of super cute things. So if you're interested, I'll put a link below. If you use that link, I'll get a little credit for that, and I appreciate that. If you don't want to continue after your first month, just cancel it before the end of the month, and you won't get charged. So the 2 designs that I'm going to use for today, and they're ones that I've already downloaded. Now that's really large. It'll be smaller, but that's going to be the design for one of my phone cases. And then the other one will be this leopard print. Now I want you to see this. The thing I love about this leopard print is, look, you actually see texture. And I think that's going to give it so much more interest. To bring those in, I've saved them to my projects file as example 1 and example 2. So let me click back on Inkscape. I'll click on File, Import, and here's example 1. That's that leopard print, so I'm just going to bring it in using my default settings. Okay, it comes in really large, a lot larger than I need it, but I do want it to be going up and down, not sideways. So it is selected. You can see by these arrows. I'm going to click in there again, and then I can turn it. So that's one of the images. And then I'll go back to File, Import. And the second one, I just named it Example 2. And that's going to be that glitter leopard print. Now this is actually for a tumbler, one that's slightly tapered. You can use any designs you want. Okay, we're going to start with this one. Now, remember I said the case was 5 1/4 inches tall by 2, and I'm going to go with 2.375 wide. That's going to give me just a tiny bit of extra on the outside so that I make sure I get the entire case sublimated. So I'm going to click on rectangles and squares, and then I'm just going to drag my cursor. When I let go, I'll go up here to the select tool. Once I've done that, it's selected. And I can see right up here the sizes of that. Now I want the size of my rectangle to be 2.25 in height and 2.375 in width. I'm going to use this as a template to cut out of this leopard print. Now let me show you right now. And see, I have the opacity down. Let me show you how you do that. If you go to Fill and Stroke, here's the opacity. If I pull it back up, I can't see through it. I want to be able to see through it to see what I'm getting from my design. Now these panels over here, if you don't find them here, you can always go up here, Object, Fill and Stroke, and then this panel would open and you could do the exact same things. So here's what I notice. The way the size of my leopard print is now, you get very few spots in there. So what I want to do is I want to click out here on the leopard print. And I think for now I'll go ahead and lock the proportions. And then I want to make it so that the, oops, let me go back. All right, let me go ahead and get this separate. Okay. I'm going to make this a lot smaller. Let's put this on top, make sure I didn't make it too small. Okay, that's fine. But the leopard spots seem a little thick or wide to me. So let me click on it again. Now I'm going to unlock the proportions and just drag it in. Okay, I like that better. Now I notice there's some grunge in here. If I accidentally get one of those white spots in it, I don't want to leave that. If I get one, I can fix it. And let's see, looks like there's a grunge spot here. Let's get one on purpose. Okay, so you can see through this to see if this is what I cut out, that's what my case will look like. Now what I'm going to do is take my cursor around both items. Notice they're both selected now. I'm going to go up to Object, Clip, and Set. And that left just what I wanted. Now let's zoom in so we can see the grunge marks. Okay, so I have one there and I have a couple over here. All I need to do to fix that is make a rectangle, and let's just make it about the size I need it. Then I want to change the color of my rectangle to blend in with the design. And I want my opacity up. All right, so I'm just going to look, try to find what might look good. Okay, I'm going to settle on that for now. What I need to do, it's still selected. I want to go to Object, and let's lower that to the bottom. Okay, so you can see here and where, there, it was right there. That's what it will look like now. And that's acceptable to me. So I'm going to zoom back out, and then I'm going to select both items. Notice my rectangle selected, my little patches selected, so I'll go to Object and Group. So there's one of the phone cases. Now I do want to personalize this, so I'm going to add my name. I click right here on Create and Edit Text, and then I'm just going to go over here and type Marilyn. I don't really care what my font is. I can change that in just a minute. And you do that by clicking right here, and here's all my options. Again, if this doesn't show up, click right here and text and font. All right, so I want to use a certain font, and it is this Bastion. I think that's really cute, so I'm going to apply that to my word, and it changes here. All right, let's make that a little smaller. Now it's unlocked. I'm going to go ahead and lock it. And with it locked, as long as I drag from a corner, my proportions will stay the same. Notice even when it's locked, if you drag from a corner, if you drag from a side, the proportions change, or if you drag from the bottom or the top, they change. So to utilize this locked feature, you do have to just drag it from a corner. Okay, so we're going to put this down here, and then let's change that a different color. Actually, I think I want to leave it black, but I want that to show up a little bit better. Well, for now, I'm going to change it red so we can see it. Okay, there's a couple things wrong with this. First of all, I don't want it to get longer or taller, but I want those letters to be thicker. Let's just move them over here. To do that, and to do the next step, which is going to be to add an offset, I need to change this. It's 3 simple steps. You go to Path, Object to Path, Object, Ungroup. Now, if you want, you can go on to the 3rd step. Before I do, I want to make this A a little wider. I think I'll also make it a little taller. And then I'll zoom in so I can really check that out. And I'm just going to move this M over just a little bit. Okay, notice how it's hopping. That's because this feature right here is on. That's a snapping feature. In this program, if snapping is on and you try to move things, it tries to guess where you're trying to go and it snaps there. So to be able to move it anywhere, let me turn that off. Now I can move this very smoothly. Okay, I like that. So now I'm going to do the 3rd step of what I need to do to be able to make this bulkier and to give it an offset. With them all selected, I go back to Path and Union. So my steps were Path, Object to Path, then I went Object, Ungroup, and then if you don't make any changes, back to Path and Union. After I've done this, I can make this bulkier and I can add an offset or a shadow. Now to beef this up a little bit, make it a little more bulky, with it selected, I can go up to Path, Outset. If I want it wider or thicker, just do it again, Path, Outset. So it's thicker, but now I wanted to add an offset because when it's on my case, it still doesn't really show up that well. So with it selected, I'm going to go up here to Path and Linked Offset. You click on that, and then this little diamond shows up, and you just drag it to the size you want your offset. Now my offset is the same color as my text. So if you want to see that as a shadow, change the color of your offset. In my case, I'll just do it a blue. And I don't think that's quite big enough. So now that I can really see the difference, I'll just keep dragging this. Okay, I don't like the colors, but I like that offset. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my select tool, and that selected it. And then I'm going to move, whoops, now I have to group those. So let's drag over both of them. Now I can either group it and move it, or I can move them together. And I can do that now because the offset and the text are both selected. Okay, so I want the word Marilyn to be black. And then I want that blue to be white. And actually, I don't think I want it quite white. I want it kind of a creamy color. All right, let's get a perspective on this. I think that's a little bit large. Let me select the whole thing. Drag it down a little smaller. Now I'm going to put it in the center. So I select everything by dragging around everything. Go over here to Align and Distribute. And see the picture? I want to center that on the vertical axis. Okay, so there's my phone case. Now I'll select everything and I'll say Object and Group. Now, if you've done sublimation, you know I also have to flip that over. So I select it, Object, flip horizontal. Okay, so I have one ready to print. Let's work with my other one. I'm going to go File, Import, and remember my other one was Example 2. So I'll select it and say Open. Again, I just leave my defaults alone and click OK. Okay, that came in really large, 9.3 inches wide, 8.2 tall. Let's just change this to about 6 inches tall. Because the proportions are locked, you can see that here. When I hit Enter, the width will also change. Okay, let's go in so we can see more. Oh, there it is. I thought I brought it in. Let me just get rid of that. Okay, so I need another template to cut out what I want to keep. So I went back up to the squares and rectangles. I should have just copied the one I had before. I didn't think about it. So again, I'm going to hit Select and I'll change the dimensions. Let's unlock that to 2.375 with the height of 5.25. Okay, so I can tell that I can make this back one quite a bit smaller so I get more of the detail in my final product. Now I'm unlocked, so I might have changed those proportions a little bit, but that's okay. Okay, that's probably good. Okay, I need to go over and make that transparent. So I click on Fill and Stroke and then decrease the opacity so I can see through it. So I need to figure out what part of this I want to keep. I kind of like some of this pink over here. But then I kind of like some of the purples from over here. Okay, I think I'm going to make this a little narrower so I can get some more of that print in there. I need to unlock it, then I can just drag it over. Okay, I think I'm going to settle on that. So I'll put my cursor around both items, go to Object, Clip, and Set. Okay, that looks good. Now there's a big cutout right here, and I don't like that I would be cutting out this. The cutout is for my camera lens. So let me go up to Object, Flip Vertical, and then I'm going to go Object and Flip Horizontal. And I think by having this white stripe here, most of that will get cut out. And then I'm going to go ahead and place my name down here. So I go back to the text tool, and then I'll type over here, Marilyn. Then because my name's going right here, I'm fine with staying with this smaller font. But I want to drag it out so it's a little longer and a little bit taller. Okay, let's move it up here in place. Now it's a little bit too skinny. Let's find a different color for now. You really can't see it because it is so skinny. So let's make that thicker too. With it selected, I go to Path, Object to Path, Object, Ungroup, Path, Union. Now that allows me to really thicken it up. I'm going to go to Path and Outset. Let me zoom in so you can see this a little better. I'll do that again, Path, Outset, and let's keep going. One more time, Path and Outset. Okay, so I think I want it a little bit taller and maybe just a little closer together. Then let's find a better color. I'm just going to look for a color. There's a purple. That looks pretty. Another purple that looks pretty good. Really, you can just play around and find what you like. Okay, I'm going to go with that. Now, I want it to fit angled here. So it is selected. If I click again, see how these are rounded? I can grab that and just twist it. Then I can drag it anywhere I want to in here. And if I want to make it longer, I can kind of drag it like this. And I think that looks good. So let's go ahead and zoom back out. I'm going to select both items, go up here to Object and Group. Then once again, for purposes of printing it, Object and flip horizontal. Now at this point, I'd be ready to print these on my sublimation printer, but I'm going to be open with you. I've already printed these. I made this entire clip of the video, and then when I went to edit it, it was terrible. So I've just recreated this part to show you how I did it. My designs are going to look very, very similar to these, but there may be small details that are slightly different. So we're going to move on. I'll show you these items printed out, and then I'll show you how to lay the sublimation blank down on them so that you can put them under the heat press and sublimate on your phone case. Here's my printout. Notice it really doesn't look very vibrant, and that's typical for sublimation ink. When you print it out, they don't look real vibrant. Once you add the heat to them though, they get beautiful. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut these apart. Also, once these came off my printer, I went ahead, I sat them under the heat press. I didn't lower the platen on them. I just had the heat press on, and I left them under there to really dry for about 10 seconds. So I took the coating off of this one earlier. Then I'm going to lay it down. Because my design is just barely larger than my substrate, it's easy to get it centered. Okay, so I can see a little bit of the design all the way around this. So now I'm just going to put heat tape on it so that it can't shift while it's under the heat press. That shifting can cause ghosting, and that's just when you have kind of a double image or a blurry image. So here's the sublimation part. Again, we need to take that film off. Now sometimes that can be one of the most challenging things, but you don't want to get a weeding tool and really poke at it because you can easily scratch your coating. So once again, I'm just getting that kind of centered up. Make sure I have a little bit of the ink showing out from all four sides. Now I don't feel like I have that centered very well. Let me move that over. All right, I'm not sure if that's any better, but I feel better about it. Now I could do these at the same time on the heat press, but I'm going to do them one by one just so I make sure I have a good pressure and a good heat setting. I just have a really inexpensive heat press from Amazon. It came over from China. It really works well for my purposes. Doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the more expensive ones, but I do really like it. So I have a Teflon sheet on, then I'm going to put a piece of paper behind it. This is butcher paper that I get off of Amazon. Then I'm going to put my image face down. Then another piece of paper on top to protect my heat platen, just in case any ink comes through. When I open my heat platen, I like to hold some pressure down so it doesn't really jump. Okay, so I'm going to use a heat glove. That turned out really nicely. Okay, so I like my pressure, I like my time, my temperature. So we'll go ahead and do the second one. Now I'm going to use new blowout paper. The blowout paper is cheap. The heat press is not. So I'd rather spend a few cents on that and protect my heat press. Now, if I didn't say it before, I'm doing 390 for 45 seconds. Just like I did before, I want to keep some pressure down so that this doesn't hop up, cause the paper to move. I should be fine since I have tape on this, but it's just a good habit to get into. Okay, that's pretty much impossible to really see with the lights, so let's go ahead and change the camera angle. I'll show it to you so you can see it much better, and then we'll get these put on the cases. So here's the two sublimated metal pieces, and now we're just going to put them on the back of the phone. So I'm going to peel off this cover, and this is extremely sticky. And so if you get this correctly around that, everything else will fall in place. Okay, I can feel that's right, so I'll go ahead and drag that out. Then I can make just a little bit of adjustment, but not a whole lot. So you have to make sure that you really have that in the right place before you start pressing down. And that is so cute. All right, let's work on this one. Okay, I'm holding it up down here. I can feel that that is between the two indentions, and it looks like it's good around the camera lens. Okay, that feels good. So now what I want to do is get something smooth, and then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm really going to press down on the back side. Then I'll do the same thing with my other one. Now I have to decide which one to put on. I think with it being winter, I'll go with this one. Okay, well maybe it's not winter, but cooler weather. It's fall. To me, this one looks more like a summer or a spring design, so I'll hold on to that. Okay, fits down in there perfectly. Looks really good. Looks like it could be pushed down just a little bit more right there. Now, if you're interested in these, Amazon has these for just about any phone you have out there. This is a really old phone and it had it for those. So check out the link to these. See if they have something for your phone. Play around with them. They are fun and really inexpensive. You can have so many different phone cases. All right, thanks so much for joining me and sticking it out till the end. Until my next video. Bye-bye.